So we talked about some of the backstage stuff where they're actually talking back and forth where we had to. Obviously, we talked about the big Elite video because that's news in itself, like big deal. Outside of that, I feel like during this show, there was 1, 2, 3, 4 straight up like video segments or video packages or backstage segments that didn't, directly tie into anything else that necessarily happened on the show. And that's pretty much all that's left to go over. So that might be
video segments didn't. I don't know. None of the video, like usually there's at least one really memorable video for me, and nothing stuck out today
besides the one that we talked about it by itself.
Yeah.
Not that it was great or anything. It was just big deal.
That was just big news.
So kind of run through them quick. It could probably just be its own one simple video by itself once we get it all caught up. But you had, you had the Kingdom video package, which went into Wardrobe, which, you know what? This was memorable. Just
because he talks shit about the Wardrobe name.
It's like, who did we disrespect?
It's terrible.
It's like, who did we disrespect? We never even said the name Wardrobe. And we would never say it. It's a terrible name. I'm like, thank you. I've hated this name since day one. And you were the second person on TV to at least back that up because credit to
Wardrobe is awful.
We talked about this during the show. Gotta give credit where credit's due. Who's the first person we got to see on AEW TV talk shit about the Wardrobe name?
He said, with all due respect. But yeah, Mark Sterling pointed it out first on TV, and that man's a trailblazer. Fucking trendsetter. Let's go, Mark Sterling.
Thing to say.
Because he had Wardrobe.
I'm rooting or siding with Mark Sterling on something. I find him entertaining. I like him for that aspect. But he's never been one that I would expect you or I to really like prop up, But go Mark Sterling. You could be my lawyer anytime.
I'm going to say Mark Sterling was my man's. I don't know why, but I loved when he had the petition against Swerve. Just that tickled the shit out of me. Just going around trying to get people to sign this to get a Swerve kicked off the roster.
You want to know my favorite thing about him in the Swerve petition? That's when we got Lawyerhausen.
Oh, yeah.
But that video package with the Kingdom ended up setting up on Rampage. They're going to have Matt Taven versus Wardlow for the TNT title. He talked about Taven being like a Grand Slam Ring of Honor champion.
Yeah, he held the belts. All the belts.
Some point or the other. But after the Kingdom one, you had the whole Rey Fenix and Alex with Renee, where they talk about Phoenix wants to be a double champion because I guess he wants to challenge for the All Atlantic, right? And then Penta's out there challenging for the world title.
Yeah, it's like, why can't I be a double champion? I should be a double champion.
Then Luchasaurus and Christian pop in. He's like, "If we told you we're going for all the titles, so if anyone should get a title shot, it's my right hand of destruction."
Yeah. And then Orange Cassidy just casually walks up, belt and backpack, pulls out, "You guys want this?" Okay.
And even on top of that, the funny thing is he didn't even look at any of them for like most of the time he was out there. He was looking directly at the camera with all of them behind him.
Yeah. You guys want this?
So another triple threat.
Another triple threat. This one on Dynamite.
What do you think about that whole Eddie Kingston with Renee?
Don't know what to think about it.
It felt very pointless to me.
Because it was meant to show that Eddie's not stable mentally. I get it. But he's shown that already.
Mm-hmm. It felt like they were trying to fill time. Just like if you take away that aspect of it, I mean, I will say it's Eddie. Anytime that you have him go on there to talk for a minute, he's gonna at least make it. You can always listen to him. It felt like he was trying to make something out of nothing almost. He did this nice big fake smile about the intervention last week.
Yeah, like he's gonna do some crazy stuff, some way crazier stuff. Is all I got out of this. So yeah, I guess they didn't have to do this.
I mean, he quickly deflected it from like that whole situation last week to just talking about Moxley versus Penta. I'm like, okay. Didn't really need anybody else to talk about that main event, but okay.
Yeah. And that's how you know, because he's like, yeah, I'm fine. Everything's good. See, I'm smiling.
Yeah, see,
if Kingston doesn't smile like that.
See, if
that's why, you know, there's something wrong.
If he didn't do exactly that, then I would have hated this altogether. Because if it was just him like talking regular, saying the same things without making like those expressions and stuff, I would have been like, this was pointless. Yep. But just even doing those expressions, I don't know, it means something. Just subtle. Then there's one thing left, and that's Darby answering a question about where is Sting? Where is his father?
Where's Papa Sting at? Daddy Ass versus Daddy Sting.
I saw them at a WrestleMania. I mean, I didn't see them, didn't go. They didn't face each other either. But they were all in like the same ring type area some years back, and it was bad. It was so bad. It's like, oh, Sting went to WWE. Oh, he's gonna have his WrestleMania moment, and he's wrestling Triple H, and somehow Triple H gets all of DX to come out on his side. You know who comes out to help Sting? His
NWO.
Worst fucking enemies.
I mean, there was that short period of time where he was in the Wolfpack.
But it was the Hogan side that was with him. It was Hogan's, Hall, and Nash.
Yeah.
And on top of that, two of those three are best friends with everybody on the other side.
Yeah.
But
that was bad. Yeah, that's a bad idea.
And then he lost.
Well, yeah, because they brought out his enemies to help him. He spent all those years staring at them from the rafters in WCW, and now they're gonna have him come out and help him in WWE? Nah, son.
Like, you might consider Flair his greatest like rival, but the story that built WCW was Sting versus Hogan. I shouldn't say built it, but got it to that peak point.
Yeah.
And then Goldberg kind of right behind it in DDP. But like, the story was, when is Sting gonna do whatever to the NWO? But I already said he wanted to like crawl into a hole and disappear, and Sting was like, you can't, you're Darby Allin.
Yeah, he's like, you're Darby Allin. And he was like, yeah, that reminds me, I'm the only one that can beat me.
He's like, he says at some point, he's like, he's got to do this alone. So basically, Sting hasn't been around because he told him not to be around.
Yeah.
Some weak shit.
It was the most braggy emo thing I've ever seen.
But he's basically welcomed Jay Lethal's friends, who supposedly knows his weakness. He says he is his own weakness. And then right after, we get the wonderful trio of a giant, Jay Lethal, and a Chihuahua.
Yeah. Also known as the Lethal Team. The Lethal Team doesn't do much.
Yeah, I completely, for once, tuned out Sanjay Dutt, and I felt bad. Because the whole point of what Lethal said to me was, don't worry about our friend, worry about their actual match. And then Dutt said some stuff. I did not catch any of it.
Yeah. I don't remember what he said at all, to be honest with you. Point of this is that Jay Lethal's bringing some more of his Lethal Team, whoever it is.
Yeah, I'm wondering. So that'll be interesting.
Because Jay Lethal knows everyone in the wrestling industry, I'm sure. So, who could it be? We don't know.
He's been around forever, and yet he is somehow younger than what I would have thought he would be. It's amazing. Like, oh yeah.
Yeah, he looks like maybe 40.
And he's like 37, I think is what I saw it was. But
yeah, I'm gonna say like at his oldest he looks about 40.
But
like, I would be like, oh, he looks real good for 40 if he said that. But
I've been watching him wrestle on TV for like 15 years already. And then you
longevity.
But then you think about independence time and everything, so I figured he would have been older. But no, it just turns out he was at a pretty high level at a super young age.
Yeah. Prodigy. He's just so good.
Now I might have to go watch the Woo Off promo one more time. It's always good for a laugh.
Yeah. I wonder how that came about. Like, were they like, yo, Rick, you gotta hear this kid's Ric Flair impression. It's so good.
I don't know how they got to that point, but I do remember hearing that the night of that promo, Ric Flair refused to do any kind of rehearsal, bullet points, anything, that they went out there and like winged the whole thing.
It looked winged. That's for sure.
80% of the words were woo.
Yeah.
And then other Ric Flair catchphrases.
That's all we needed, though.
It was so good. I still have to remember, I need to get you to watch the all
Ric Flair × 2.
The all in matchup that he had, where every time he took like a chop to the back or something like that, he would switch from Jay Lethal to Macho Man and back.
Yeah, that would be interesting.
Can't remember if that one's on YouTube as a free thing. I think it might be, but as opposed, I'm gonna have to remember how to do the whole timestamp thing and send it to you, just so that way you don't have to watch the whole pay-per-view to find it.